Today, I'm sitting down with Dan Black, one of Denton's most creative and talented artists. Really love your work, Dan.
Thank you.
You may not realize it, but you've probably seen his work all over town. We'll learn more about that and why he loves Denton on today's episode of If You Didn't Know, Now You Know. Denton's got it all: the food, the music, the art, and of course the people. And behind every corner, there's a story worth sharing. And that's what this podcast is all about. Denton's best, one conversation at a time. I'm Brad, and this is If You Didn't Know, Now You Know. All right, welcome back to If You Didn't Know, Now You Know. Excited to have Dan Black here with us today. Welcome to the studio, Dan.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
You bet. Well, I think you're sprinkled throughout this place. We've got the artwork outside of this room that you've created that was really special. It's really, really special to me. I love it. Got a little piece of your work back here as well. So always thinking Dan Black when we're in here. This is kind of a place to be creative, and you've really helped with that.
Thank you for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a privilege to be a part of it.
Cool, man. Well, I want to go before we talk really about your work as an artist. I want to kind of step back in time. Before you were doing that, I don't know, maybe you grew up kind of doing art, but I know at some point you were going down the aviation path and maybe going to become a pilot or a mechanic or something in that field. So kind of talk to us about where you started there, and then we'll get into your art journey.
Yeah, I think I've always liked building and making, and it's hard to know what you want to do with your life at 18 sometimes. Yeah. And so I think I was just trying to carve out a life that I thought I'd enjoy. And at the time, aviation seemed like a great option. I knew a lot of people that were doing like flying in Alaska and flying like float planes and working on the planes themselves. Or I thought about doing disaster relief flying, like overseas, and was trying to think of something meaningful, but like a life I think I would enjoy, and ended up going into this program and just finished it because I started it. And so I graduated with a bachelor's in aviation, commercial pilot's license, and mechanic certification.
Was that here locally in Denton?
That was it's a private school in Longview, Texas.
Longview, okay.
Called Laterno, yeah.
Okay.
And
where did you grow up, Dan?
I grew up in Houston.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll have to get back to how you get to Denton, but go. So you finished it because you started it.
Yeah, I just finished it because I started.
You knew kind of along the way that maybe this wasn't going to be what I really wanted to do, or
I actually started painting while I was in college. Okay. I hadn't done much. I mean, I did art like everybody else, but it wasn't like a passion. And I started painting as a way to kind of relax and blow off steam because the school regiment was so intense, and started just posting stuff that I painted, and people started asking me to paint stuff this and there, and it kind of just grew organically. Like painting for people is kind of a side job. And when I graduated, we moved and tried to find some jobs in aviation. Right now, probably it'd be pretty easy to get a job. At that time, it was actually really difficult to get a job in aviation. So applied for several places, nothing really panned out. I ended up having to just kind of take a job at the Apple store in South Lake just to try to get by. I had a connection there, but people asking me to paint stuff kept like kind of growing. And originally it was a way for me to kind of like relax. Blow off steam. So it's like the more the way to relax became a job, we kind of just headed in that direction and gradually worked our way into full time. We ended up I left South Lake so that we lived in Denton, but I was commuting to South Lake. Okay. So I left South Lake and started working at West Oak here on the square. Yeah. And when it opened. Okay. And just started kind of diving into the art thing, and it grew from there. And I found that I love it. I really like learning. I think too, like even the drive for me in aviation was learning. And once I had learned everything and it was just about getting a job, I was way less excited about it. And so what's cool about art is there's just always more learning. There's like infinite growth there. So I've really come to love it.
It probably just ways to morph your technique and maybe even change your style completely and learn.
Yes.
Yeah, a totally new way.
Or a new medium. Like when I I was doing 2-dimensional stuff for a long time, and I was like, man, I want to try sculpture. And it's crazy because you kind of get the hang of it faster because of the work you've already done with art, but also it's a completely different thing. And so
the creative foundation though is there, right? Because I when I think about trying to do, and I like to kind of draw and a little doodle and stuff,
right.
but the first, when I'm starting, I'm like, what am I going to draw? And so it's like the first part of it is just figuring out what am I even going to, and so I find you just start something, and that may not be it, but it gets you thinking about something else. So I imagine even when you change medium, it's like still that foundation of, I know how to get something started in general probably helps or translates.
Yeah, and I think it's been really helpful to me to just have like no pressure play time.
Yeah.
Eventually the things that I do become jobs and become where they need to meet certain standards and be certain, but the time in the studio just playing and learning is really vital, because if you put too much pressure on it, it's really hard to be creative, I think, with a lot of pressure. Yeah. For me personally.
So in college, what was that first painting? I mean, were you spray painting? What kind of?
Yeah, I was spray painting. So growing up in Houston, there was a lot of really great graffiti everywhere that we saw. But we grew up kind of inner city Houston, and then I moved out to the burbs. And I never really got caught up in spray painting, but just admired it. Mm-hmm. And I was actually on a date with my current wife, and I worked at a plywood warehouse. I was like a forklift driver at a plywood warehouse, and so we would have scrap plywood that I just ended up stealing a piece of scrap, and her and I for a date just spray painted it, just like for fun. And I was like, this is amazing. I like fell in love with it. It was so fun. And so then when I went back to college, I just bought spray paint and kept messing with it. I would buy big like bed sheets and stretch them and paint them and throw them away.
Okay. So the guy, you came to Denton, and then you were working at the Apple Store in South Lake, then took the job at West Oak. So how long were you at West Oak before you said, I'm going into the art thing full time?
It was actually after West Oak. So I worked at West Oak for a while, and then Worlds of Wow was a fabrication company here.
Oh, yeah.
And the guy who was heading up their paint department had seen some things that I had painted at a bike shop, Bullseye Bikes.
Okay, yeah.
And he was there to get some stuff done on his bike, and he got my contact from Kevin there and called me and was like, hey, I need painters. I like your stuff. And brought me in, and I did that job for a couple of years after that.
Okay.
And I love that because I was learning so much. Again, it was like that learning element.
Now you're really in the field and getting to practice and play with different techniques.
And all the stuff we did for Denton Halloween is like stuff I learned there, where they're building 3D sculptures and they're hard coding and painting and fabricating. And so I did that for a couple of years, and then it had finally grown enough from there. I just went full time into art.
Okay. Yeah, Worlds of Wow, they did some really cool, a lot of playground stuff, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
it was primarily, I would say like churches and playgrounds was the primary market, but it was fun.
I've seen some of their work. They did good stuff. I'm sure it's probably yours I saw. That's awesome. So, what is, when you say that you were starting to get enough work, what were those early jobs? And I mean, are these murals? Is this when you kind of got in the mural thing, or?
Yeah, I think murals were the easiest because with spray paint, it's really not that difficult to paint large scale. Mm-hmm. And I found early on it's difficult early on as an artist to convince someone that something is worth the amount of time you've put into it. Like you could spend 40 hours on a canvas, but they may not feel like it's worth that amount of time. And if something's large, people inherently kind of assume it's worth more money because it's large. And so like murals just became easier to sell because I could accomplish them really efficiently. And then people usually had larger budgets for murals. And so that was kind of the sweet spot.
So I know in Denton, if someone's been around town, maybe they don't realize they've seen some of your work, but it's plastered all over the place, isn't it? At least on the mural side. So probably for me, one of the most iconic pieces that you've done in town would be, which one do you think I'm going to say?
Andes,
Andes, yeah. I'm going with the Andes. I mean, that is such a cool mural. And I mean, just so much going on. It's such a large surface, and the way it just slightly wraps the corner. to facing Locust there is really cool too. So where did that fall in, like, was that the beginning of stages, or was that you'd already done quite a few before you got that job?
We'd already done quite a few, but that was definitely the biggest one at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting doing murals for people because a lot of times people have a vision and an idea. They kind of have an artistic vision for something. And so for that one, when Eric Polito over at Andy's reached out to me, he had the vision for Band on the Run, which was the title of it.
Okay.
And he had the idea for it to wrap around the building too.
Cool.
And so as an artist, sometimes with jobs like that, you're like taking the vision that the commissioner has and then just filling in the gaps with what's not there. And so I kind of had the idea for the style of it and how to tell the story of Band on the Run with these two people that are running from the cops with instruments on their backs. But it's kind of a collaborative thing.
I didn't realize they're running from the cops. That's cool.
Yeah. So they both still have their instruments on them.
I see.
They didn't have time to take them off. And then if you turn the corner and look up on the top, there's a squad car up on the hill where this guy's. And then if you go to the other side of the building, there's a getaway plane up on the roof. You can see it from.
I don't think I've noticed that piece.
Yeah. The mural wraps all the way around the building and kind of tells a story.
Okay.
In that way.
Man, I should have known there was more to it than meets the eye. So others in town that I know I are recognizable to me. You did the Day of the Dead kind of mural over there on East Hickory. Yeah. Union Bears, the stuff at Union Bear.
So I didn't do Union Bear.
Oh, you didn't do Union Bear.
No,
okay,
no.
You did something
David
with it.
Baker, he's awesome too. There's a lot of great muralists here.
Okay.
I like to just tell people if they see the mural and they like it, they can just assume I did it. That's fine with me.
Well, that's what I assumed. Yeah. Sorry.
David might feel differently, but that's a great mural. But
okay. Yeah. So cool. Yeah. I think thinking about, we've got several buildings. We're starting to think about how to transform them. And, you texted me once and said, hey, what do you think about a mural on this wall? It's like, yes, that could transform the whole look of that building. Yeah. So if somebody's got a property and they're kind of debating, is a mural right for this or not? What's kind of the thought process, and how do you help them kind of come up with the right idea, or maybe, hey, no, maybe a mural's not the right fit for this wall?
Yeah. So I think art is almost always there to make you feel something, And so if we're talking about introducing art to something, I think it's good to start with like, what is the goal? What do we want people to feel when they look at it? And so that's usually where I start, is I say like, what are, 2 or 3 things that you want someone to feel about this building or about this space when they look at this art? And we've had the best designs come out of that. Sometimes people have an idea like, man, I know I want there to be a tarantula and like a parakeet, and there needs to be like ocean water.
Work that in.
Yeah. So you're like, okay, we'll figure out how to. But I think the best designs always work out when you shoot for a feeling. And I think what's cool about murals is it kind of wakes you up. It's like your brain kind of goes into default when it sees buildings, and then when it sees a mural, it's like almost this unexpected, like, wakes you up. So what do you want people to feel when they have that wake up experience? And you can't always hit it because people feel different things about different things, but that's my favorite way to approach a design.
Well, that's an interesting perspective, just that. And as kind of a commercial real estate guy, thinking about ways to make a property stand out, like you say, they kind of start to blend together. We often do that through architecture, or maybe even landscaping, and all of that, and lighting. That helps.
That's all art stuff too.
Yeah, it's all part of the creative process. But a mural can really make a difference as well. So we'll have to find some buildings to do that. So what about the city? Like here in the city of Denton, how do they embrace murals, or do they have some guidelines that are kind of a little more prohibitive? Or
I think for the most part people like them. I think we know in Denton we're like kind of known as an art town, and so art helps the city. It kind of helps everybody, and so I think for the most part, with murals, it is challenging because it can be representative of the surrounding area. So a mural, you have like the voice of the artist that's creating the design. You have the voice of the building owner that's commissioned the mural. And I think a lot of times there can be regulations to try to make sure that you're not creating this huge landmark that is supposed to represent an area that's not really the voice of that area.
Yeah.
And so it's always tricky to figure out, well, who gets ownership in the content of a mural? And there's like freedom of speech, things. And it's like, if you want to whisper something, it's different than if you want to blast it through a megaphone. And so it's like a mural is more that megaphone option. And so, but I think for the most part, people just love seeing anything different, anything colorful, unique. I think even just most of the murals I've done have had large chunks of the person that commissioned me. I would say they are in that design because they had so much contribution, which makes me feel better about it. Because if every one of these paintings was just, this is what Dan thinks about something, and this is what Dan thinks about something else, then it doesn't really help. It starts to become too much. It's like you want that variety.
It's just
like
too much Dan.
It gets. I can get exhausting.
We can't get enough Dan. No, well, so back like to the Andy's mural, and again, I'm not super familiar with what the guidelines are in the city, but it seems like I've heard that maybe, I don't know if it was after that one or some others, that the city said, hey, we need to put some things in place to kind of make sure that we at least control that not every building on the square or every building is going to get painted like this. And I don't know if I'm totally accurate on that. Do you know anything about that? And then I guess from that, like now, like that's so iconic, like, and I know the building has sold and they're looking for a new tenant, like, but if they touch that mural, I think the community would revolt.
That'd be fun.
That'd be fun.
It's hard because I'm not great with like politics and stuff. But politics is a big part of like a community living together. Politics ideally is an effort for us to figure out how to live together.
Right.
And so it's hard, because not everybody's going to like everything you do. But I think with that, we were kind of breaking new ground with a mural that big on a building that is a historic downtown building.
Right.
And anytime you're doing something new, sometimes people are like, oh, we might need to implement new regulations for future because it's like a new thing. And so we ran into some hiccups with that. But I think part of that too is just like growing pains of like, this is the first time anybody's tried to paint a building this big all the way around right in the middle of the square, and so it's like, so there's some adjustments that need to be made, and I feel like everybody was really gracious with it, and it was great. Yeah.
Well, I know I would revolt if somebody came in and just tried to paint it like a tan or something, now I just...
it's funny because like graffiti culture, a lot of times when I was practicing, you would find these like graffiti free walls.
Yeah.
Where it's like anybody can paint anything they want. The building owner has just made it a free wall.
Yeah.
And I once went to a free wall and I spent like 6 hours painting this huge mural. And I stepped away for lunch and I came back and somebody had put their Instagram tag like over the face.
Yeah.
It's like weird, like with graffiti culture, you kind of get used to like nothing's going to last forever.
Nothing's permanent, yeah.
Yeah, and so you're like, man, but while it's here, it's going to be beautiful.
That's cool.
And I'm going to do the best I can for like, while it's here, it's going to be beautiful. So it would be disappointing.
Yeah.
I think it's disappointing for any artist to see something that they made go away.
Right.
But also, I think people that are involved with that culture get more used to like everything goes away eventually. I hope it's there forever. But
it needs to be. Let's make sure that happens. All right. Well, so talk to me about some of the other mediums that you what else are you working in? What is your favorite? Or do you right now maybe your favorite?
Sculpture.
I'm sure.
See, the majority of my work hasn't really been sculpture, but sculpture I would say I'm like in the R&D for, and it's really fun and fascinating to me.
Now, do you call like this piece sculpture?
I would say that's sculpture, yeah. And this is what I would say more like building. I'm like building a sculpture.
So for those that are not watching, you can watch this on YouTube and see it. But if you're not watching, describe this piece. I just when I saw it, I had to have it. What do you got here?
So you purchased a piece from my last show that is like a crab. And he has on his back this big house with all these like eyes looking out of the house. And the theme of that show was about trying to build a belief system around yourself that feels like it shelters you from all the unknowns of life. And I think it's hermit crabs, but crabs are interesting to me because they grow out of a shell and have to find another one. And that's kind of what this piece was about, is trying to find a shelter big enough to hold all the new things you're learning about life.
And it's built out of, is it plywood, or?
It's primarily MDF.
MDF, yeah.
Yeah, MDF,
MDF, yeah.
Cuts and carves a little bit better and paints smoother.
Mm-hmm.
And so, the crab is, the legs and body and everything is built out of MDF pieces, and then the house is built out of MDF. And then I kind of started to do this fun thing where I'll router out what would be like a drawing in it.
Yeah, I love the routering in it.
So you get this kind of crayon drawing element, but it's actually carved into the wood. Yeah. And then you can make prints with that too. One of the pieces for the show, I routered out the drawing, and then I went ahead and just rolled black paint over it, stuck a sheet of paper on it, and pulled it off, and it made a print.
Was that the cat print?
It was I think it was another house one.
Yeah,
the cat one I like hand carved, but yeah, it's
so cool.
It's fun. All that stuff kind of just comes out of play. Just being able to. That's one of the things I love about doing an art show, is it's not. There's not as much pressure to meet the expectations of a client, which is really important with commissions. It's like I can just meet my own expectations, and if nobody buys it, that's fine. But it frees you up to kind of try new things. And
how many of those art shows have you done?
We did 2 so far. So a couple years ago, I kind of reached a point where I was like losing excitement about making things.
Right.
And those art shows were an effort for me to refine that excitement. Yeah. And they've really done that, and they've really impacted the things that I do for customers and clients too. Like some of the styles I found in that, but I think especially it was just good for me personally to do those shows.
Yeah. Well, I thought the show was really cool. Some very creative, unique pieces in there, and I know you worked with some other artists or musicians. You had a kind of a musician there, and so collaborating with them. I want to get into that in a second, but before I do, tell me, I guess, highlight maybe your favorite pieces you've worked on, and where someone might see that. Are they out for viewing public, or are they commissioned in somebody's office, or what? You got any favorites?
It's so hard to pick favorites because so you can find things that you love about each one of them. I made a big. Sorry.
That's all right.
That's a hard one. I don't think I can pick a favorite, but I can talk about some that I just really like.
Okay.
There's a mural over on the backside of B&O Towing.
Yeah.
It's kind of back in an alleyway.
Yeah.
And those guys, when I first moved to town, I was just asking people like, hey, can I paint on one of these walls in the alleyway? And will you not call the cops if I paint something back here? And they were like, sure. And I painted this lady, kind of this sad lady. And in the part where her hair is, I painted her, I think, in the fall. And the part where her hair is in the spring, this like vining, beautiful flower plant like grew out of like where her hair was.
Yeah.
And that was really special because it felt like this fun collaboration with the building and plant life. And
so there's a little Easter egg for Dentonites to go check out.
It's still over there.
That's cool, behind B&O Towing.
Yeah, I like that one.
Well, very cool. Well, so are you... Right now, I know you just finished, and it's on display, kind of some public art, so to speak, that you were commissioned by the city of Denton for their being the Halloween capital of Texas.
Yeah.
Talk to us about that piece, how that whole commission came about, and how, just what do you feel about having your imprint kind of on this new community initiative?
Dude, it's awesome. It's a privilege to get to be a part of it. David, who's another local artist and muralist, works with the city. We mentioned earlier, he actually reached out to me because they were looking to just get connected with more local artists for the Halloween stuff. And so he said that they had the idea for a pallet maze, and someone was going to build the pallet maze, and that the entrance to the pallet maze would be a shipping container.
Yeah.
And they were like, we're just not sure how to set up the shipping container. And so I kind of brainstormed and pitched to him, well, like, if it's a maze, we should make it like Your Rats and the Mad Scientist maze. And the city had already done so much stuff with the Mad Scientist and was creating video content with the Mad Scientist. And I was like, yeah, I think this would be a great fit. And so we sat down and figured out what it looked like. And the primary thing to me was like a photo op. So we built this big rat, 7-foot rat that people could put mind control helmets on with and take a picture. Photo ops just help to really like commemorate special events like that.
Yeah.
And then wanted something at the entrance to really make it feel cool. So we had the idea of this big mad scientist head over the entrance and lighten up his eyes. And then we kind of wanted something that explained the story or explained the rules. And so the other primary element was this computer console that I built that has some content that Denton TV put together.
Yeah.
So it was a good way to tie it in with the other video content that was being created. And then we just painted it. And
I loved, I've been over there now since it's opened, and we went over there the other night. It's really cool. But that whole console in that shipping container, I mean, you really do. You step in from just the outside there, and you're like, wow, I've transformed into like an old school laboratory, right?
Yes.
And the cool thing about it is it's interactive, right? It's not just something for me to look at, but you get to sit there and kind of type on it or fidget with the spinner, all the controls and all that. So I bet the kids are really eating it up. I mean, I'm a grown kid and I enjoyed it, but I bet the little kids are really loving it.
I'm the same way. Yeah, it's weird because obviously some art you should not touch, but it's really fun to make things that you feel like you can interact with. And I kind of wanted the lower half of it to be just like a sensory toy, basically, so you can feel like you're the mad scientist. And I'm really excited about how it turned out. There's so many people that come through there. There's always a tension in how do I make this do as many cool things as possible, but also not be able to withstand the amount of people that'll be messing with it. But I think it's worked out
a call
great.
Every other day. Hey, this broke, Dan.
No, it's doing pretty good.
It's holding up.
And I think also people like love it and they're just being really respectful of it. And it's great.
Well, if our listeners haven't checked it out, go by before the end of October over there on McKinney, right there in front of City Hall. It's really cool. The whole thing is pretty neat, but loved your artwork in it. So what about art in Denton? You said that Denton's kind of known as an art town. We're known kind of as a music town, but what should people know about really how thriving the art scene is here in Denton? And are there a lot of artists that live here locally, or what's the scene like right now?
It's cool. What's great about Denton is there's a lot of people doing passion projects. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of creative people in this town. Like the amount of talent and the amount of creativity, even just participating in Halloween, I'm meeting some of the people that have done the other projects around town.
Yeah.
And it's like, for the population, it's a town full of creative people. I think we're still growing in how to get those creative things into the hands of someone that collects it. Mm-hmm. I think that's something we'll get better at as we go, with markets that we're having, and events like Halloween bring a lot of visitors into town, and it's an opportunity for people to collect that stuff. But as creators and collectors, we can all gather and support each other and buy each other's stuff. But it's like eventually you need people that are excited about just people making things from scratch and using their imagination. And I think that's been getting better. But I think it's a big college town, so you have people coming in that have all these talents and abilities, but there's kind of been a trend to move on, when you need to make it a career, to move on. And the reason I originally moved to Denton was because I saw so many murals. I was like, dude, there's so many muralists here. Yeah. I'm going to move here and have a bunch of friends that are muralists. And I did, and it was awesome. But most of those people have had to move on. Right. And I have family here, and so I've just stuck around, and it's been great. Living here has been great. But I still think there's, it's like weird out. You're like, there's so many people doing so many cool things. If there's people out there looking for cool things, how do we connect them with the people here that are doing it? Because,
well, I think that was that I really enjoyed from your art show over there at True Leaf several months ago. Just because I had already become aware of you and your art, but I really didn't know. I mean, I didn't know what else you had maybe available for sale, or that somebody, hey, this gives me an idea of something else that you can make for me. So I think doing those kinds of things and maybe broadening that where other artists, and I'm sure it's happening, but maybe we need to just find ways to publicize it better, where there are shows that people can really come and show off their work,
Well, and doing a show, I think if I didn't need the show for my own mental health, it would be hard to pull it off, because it's a lot of work, and you're taking a risk. Like, you don't know if people will come out or people will buy stuff. And all the time people put a lot of artistic, creative work into something and people don't show up for it. And so that's really vulnerable and hard. But I think that's why I appreciate so much the people that just keep doing it. I feel like in Denton, I'll see people that just keep doing it. And it's like, it's awesome.
Well, maybe we need to work on a show that will have 10 or 20 or 30 artists that bring in PC, you know, because it does seem like it'd be a lot for you to just do all the art, but and each of you would have your own network that can bring people, and then you kind of get to share those clients in some way. So let's make sure that happens. I'll help. Well, this has been awesome. I'd love to hear kind of maybe a few of your favorite places to visit in Denton. What restaurants do you like? Is there bars or music venues that you really like going to? What do y'all like doing here in Denton?
Yeah, I think one restaurant that has always been a favorite of ours is Oriental Garden.
Oh, yeah.
Over by UNT.
Yeah.
We did some painting for them, but for years before that, Sarah and I would go there at least once a week. The food's
so that's
really
across from the CVS, the new CVS right over there between
yeah.
Hickory and Oak.
Yeah, they're great, and the food's great, and it's a fun environment. And
that is, you know what? I happened to stumble in there a week or two ago, and it's been a long time since I'd been in there, but it is good. That's a good one to highlight.
And you know, a staple for us is True Leaf and Triptych, and there's a lot of great people over there. That's a staple coffee for us. I still I started at West Oak when I got here. I love West Oak. I still go there a lot. We're more coffee people probably than bar people, but Denton has incredible bars and music venues too. But
Triptych's great. True Leaf, you know, what Taylor does over there is so creative and awesome too. So that's good. Some good shout outs there. Well, man, this has been awesome. I really thoroughly have enjoyed kind of watching your process as you worked on the piece that I guess I commissioned you for.
Yeah, you did.
It's my first time ever commissioning an artist, but it was super cool.
Thank you for supporting your local artists.
Well, man, you made it just a joy, the whole process, and just watching kind of from your first sketch of, hey, I've got an idea of what this could be, to then creating it. And for me, this was so amazing that it really, like your first sketch, I saw it and I'm like, that's it. I don't have any edits. Go with it. And then what's on my wall now looks so similar to your first sketch. It's like you just had it from day one and ran with it. It was
and I appreciate it. It's such a weird thing. Sometimes as an artist, you have an idea for weird things, but you don't have something to reference to explain it. And so I feel like you had to trust me a lot with that. I appreciate that.
Well, it was a lot of fun for me. So if people want to see more of your work or get in touch with you, what's the best way to kind of get in touch with you?
My website is danblack.work instead of .com.
Okay.
Or I'm on primarily Instagram as danblack_who. Okay. Those would probably be the easiest ways.
If somebody wants to see a lot of your work, they can jump on the Instagram, right? And
Instagram's going to be most recent for sure.
You even see kind of the mural or the work that you did for me in my office, as well as the stuff that we're talking about for Halloween that you created, the rat and the lab stuff. So that's a good place to check you out. Well, I couldn't recommend Dan any higher. I mean, if you're thinking, I've got something, a mural I want done, or just a little piece that he can create and sculpt out of MDF or any other material, or something for an indoor painting, I highly recommend Dan. People check you out. And I mean, not only the creative part, but as as the guy writing the check, ultimately, like, you delivered when you said you were going to deliver, and you were here. You were always prompt. You always answered any questions I had. You know, it wasn't like hey, I hope this creative guy shows up sometime.
This guy disappeared with my money. Thank you.
Yeah, it was
important
awesome
to me.
Well, I've enjoyed sitting down with you today, learning more about you and your work, and keep it up, man. Keep doing awesome stuff here in Denton and around, but mainly Denton.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll do.
Well, thanks for joining us, everyone, on today's episode of If You Didn't Know, Now You Know.
Now you know.